Hello guys, welcome to another math class with me, Miss Juarez. So we're going to open our journal to a next blank page after we already done, all this work already in our journal. So we're going to open up to the next blank page and we're going to write our TEK number, which is 5.2C. Okay, today we're going to be rounding decimals, okay? So our strategy today will be using the number line to help us round decimals. So let's start off with our title. Our title will be Rounding Decimals on a Number Line. That's the strategy that we're using today, the number line. Okay, so rounding decimals on a number line. Okay, there are several steps for us to follow whenever we do rounding. It's a lot like normal rounding, except this time we're doing decimals. So we have several steps. I'm going to write my steps with the pen. So that will be your pencil, and then the pen to make it colorful for the important information from that step, okay? So step number 1, we're going to underline the digit. So we're going to underline the digit, and digit is a number, right? So you're going to underline a number. Okay, step 2, we are going to draw. Step 2, draw and open, this is a key word, open number line. What does open number line mean? Open number line means it's just a number line without numbers that we are going to put in the numbers later, okay? Step 3, identify two consecutive numbers, for the underline value. Consecutive numbers are numbers that follow. For example, if you underline the number 10, the consecutive numbers or the numbers that follow are 11, 12, right? The numbers that follow. Okay, step 4, identify the midpoint. Midpoint, it's the number in the middle. So the middle number, midpoint. Step 5 is locate. Let me do it with my pen. Locate the number on the number line. And I'll show you with the example in a minute. And last step, you are going to round to the closest. Round to the closest, and this is a key word right here. Let me do it with pen so you could see it. Round to the closest consecutive multiple. And I will show you exactly what I mean step by step using the example. Okay, you need to pause this so you can write the notes. If I went too fast, you could always pause it. So now we're gonna do one example. Okay, well, we're gonna do a couple, but the first example is, we have the number 0 and, because the decimal you say it as and, 352 thousandths, and we're going to round. So round it to the nearest tenth. Okay, and tenth is with the TH at the end, so I'm going to underline that. So we're going to round this number, 0 and 352 thousandths, and we're going to round it to the nearest tenth. Okay, well, first of all, it says underline the digit. Okay, what digit are we rounding? We're rounding to the nearest tenth. So which number or which digit is on the tenth spot? Let's underline it. You guessed right. The number 3 is on the 10th spot. So we did step 1 already. We underlined the digit. I forgot the R right here. Underline the digit. Okay. Step 2, we have to what? Draw an open number line. Okay, let's draw an open number line. Okay, so let's draw an open number line. So I'm going to use a white sheet of paper, the same notebook paper I'm using, and I'm using the line to make it as straight as possible. So let me make it as straight as possible right here. Here's my starting point. Here's my end point. Now I have to identify the 2 consecutive numbers of the underlying value. Okay, if I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, this is my value, the 10th digit. So that means I have to actually start my number line on 0 and 3/10. Okay? So the next value, the next consecutive value will be 0 and 4/10. You're probably wondering, but Ms. Juarez, why are you doing it only to the tenths? It's 352 thousandths. I understand that, but we're rounding to the nearest 10, so that is the digit that I underline. I underline the tenths. Okay, so here is 0 and 3/10, which is the same thing as 0 and 30 hundredths, or 0 and 300 thousandths, 0 and 40 hundredths, or 0 and 400 thousandths. It's the same thing, but if I'm not counting the zeros at the right side of the decimal, it's 0 and 3/10. Okay, so now we're going to actually fill in the number line. So 0 and 3/10. That will be like 31, right? Because it's 30. 32, 33, 34, 35. So this is 0 and 35 hundredths. That's my middle point. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40, right? Wow, I did it way too long. So I'm just going to rewrite it right here. That's okay. There's no problem with that. So I could erase this. I don't need it. Okay, it was too big, which is perfectly fine, because sometimes, you know, you make your number line a little bit bigger, and I don't want my spaces to be way too big, so that's why I just deleted that part. Okay, now we have to identify the midpoint, which I did. This is my middle, right? This is my midpoint right here, 0 and 35 hundredths. Locate the number on the number line. So this number has to go here in the number line. 0 and 35 hundredths is right here. I can't go all the way to 0 and 40 hundredths. That will be way too much right here, right? So, 35 is right here. If I go into one more, that's 36. It's not 36, it's 35. So I would say it's pretty close right here. So this digit is 0 and 352 thousandths right there. Now it says round to the closest consecutive multiple. Okay, so this is our middle. It's like when you're rounding your normal numbers. Let's say 189 is actually closer to 200 instead of 100, right? Because 8 is past the middle point. So this number is past the middle point. It's past 35 by a little bit, but it passed. So this means that my next rounded to the nearest 10 will actually be 0 and 4/10. So I'm going to write my answer as 0 and 4/10. So it's closer to 0 and 4/10. Okay, that's it. 0 and 352 thousandths rounded to the nearest tenths is equal to 0 and 4/10. Okay? Okay, let's do one more example just in case you're a little confused, okay? So, example 2. Right here. Let's make it a little bit harder with the same numbers, okay? So, 0 and 352 thousandths. We're going to round it, okay, to the nearest. Instead of tenths, we're going to do hundredths. Hundredths. So that is what I'm rounding, right? And we're trying to find into what number is it equal to when I round. First step, you underline the digit. What digit am I rounding? The hundredths, which is the number, this is tenths, this is hundredths, so that will be the number 5. I underline it. So right here, this is a number I'm going to round. The number on the front stays the same, so basically it's going to be 35 hundredths, right? Okay, so let's start off using the number line. So let me do right here. If it's too long, I could do the same as I did above and just cut it, right? Erase it. Okay, so my starting point is 0 and 35 hundredths. Because this is where I need to start, 35. If I do one more, what's after 35? 36, right? So 0 and 36 hundredths. Okay, so that's 35 right here, which is like 350, right? Same thing, let's put that imaginary 0 right here. 350 or 0 and 360 thousandths. Okay, 0 350 thousandths, 0 and 360 thousandths. Same thing, because I just added 0. Okay, so this is 35 or 350 thousandths or 35 hundredths. Same thing. 350, 351, 0 and 352. 0 353, 0 354, 0 355, which is my middle, 356, 57, 58, 359, and 360, right? Or 0 36. Okay, I don't need this, so I'll cut it off. That was way too long. That's fine, no problem, right? That's fine. Okay, so since I'm rounding to the nearest hundredths, I have to first identify the midpoint right here. This is my middle, 35. It's always my middle. Okay, now I need to locate the number on the number line, 350 right here, 351, 352. So this will be 0 and 352 thousandths right here. So if this is my middle and this is my digit, 352, it's not at the middle yet, so I won't round up. I'm going to actually round back because it's not at the middle yet, right? I'm going to round back. So 0 and 352 thousandths rounded to nearest hundredths is actually going to be, let me go back. It's actually going to be 0 and 350 thousandths or 0 and 35 hundredths. Okay, since I only round to the nearest hundred, is 0 and 35 hundredths right here. Okay, if you're still a little confused, don't worry. We're going to be practicing in our small group, so it will be okay. We're going to have some practice problems. You got this. It's okay. Okay, so again, if it's in the middle, like we did on the first problem, it's past the middle point, so it's going to go forward. So that's why it went up to 0 and 4 tenths, because we're rounding to the nearest tenths. Here's the middle. We're rounding to the nearest hundred. Since it's not at the middle yet, we're going to round back. So to 35 tenths, sorry, to 35 hundredths or 350 thousandths. 35 hundredths or 350 thousandths. But since we're rounding to the nearest hundreds, I don't need the 0, so I could ignore it. So it's 0 and 35 hundredths. 0 and 35 hundredths. Okay, so that will be our anchor chart for today. If you need any help, let me know. We're going to have some practice problems when we do small groups. Show up. be in small group, and I will help you. It will be okay. If you have any questions, let me know. Bye.